Bob Spitz here from Management Success. This is the second in our series with Kareem Abouzeid from Knockout Collision on efficiency points in a collision shop, how to improve upon your bottom line by getting better at your different processes from customer handling to insurance company handling to moving the car through the shop so that our cycle times are good and we have happy customers and happy insurance companies, and we're making money. Hey, how you doing, Kareem?
Great, Bob.
Super. You know, we ended off in the last episode, we were talking about capturing the car, getting the car there and walking the car with the customer, going over the damages of the car and establishing a rapport with the customer and making them feel at ease and confident in our ability to handle the problem, because that's what they're there for, is to handle the problem of having no car all of a sudden or having had an accident. So what we want to look at, what I want to do today, Kareem, is take it from that point, all the fine points of the estimator's job, moving it from the point of we've got the customer's agreement to contacting the insurance company and starting the actual tear down and inspection. So when we were talking about, you know, last time was all that points of customer care, right? So what is the exact sequence that you take as far as making sure we legitimately have the job? What do you have to do?
You know, that's really important, and you know, we've continued to develop the process so it's well, and so we don't lose the job once we've got the customer's agreement. So, you know, it's real important to get the customer's written authorization and either on an initial estimate or on a direction of payment / power of attorney type form. So the customer is agreeing in writing to allow us to handle the claim on their behalf with their insurance company. It allows the insurance company to actually pay us directly for the repairs too. So that's an important step, is getting that signed, and then we want to handle the paperwork in a way that's going to make it easy for the insurance company to just take our estimate and our photos and our initial damage report and authorize it. We basically, to be efficient, act as their insurance adjuster. You know, we take the customer's claim and give all the information that the insurance company would need, being photos of all the damage, a good, thorough estimate with all the documentation necessary. It will even get the customer on the phone with the insurance company to make a statement if a claim hasn't been made yet. That way, once they've left, we and the customer have completed all the critical steps in getting the claim started and rolling. So the insurance company is no longer trying to sell the customer on some other shop or some other path.
Right. Yeah, we want to lock it in at this point where we've got the customer's signature, we've got their agreement, they're comfortable with us, and the insurance company understands that this is the place that the consumer wishes to have their car repaired.
Yes. We don't want there to be any doubt about that.
Right. Now let me ask you one other question here. What about the customer who has already received a check from the insurance company? Because I know that's happened to me, where
yes.
I haven't even had the car at a collision shop yet, and I've already got a check.
Yeah. So in some cases, the insurance company is really working on their efficiency, and they get scored on how quickly they respond to a claim. So if you have an accident and you call them, they want to get out and look at the vehicle, and they'll cut you a check for an initial estimate really quickly because that makes them look good.
Uh-huh. So how do you broach that with the consumer as far as whether or not they have already received a check? Because ideally, you'd be in possession of that check so that the consumer doesn't spend the money.
Absolutely. And what we do there is we explain to them that if the insurance company has already looked at the car, that's great. It's good that they've already started, and that means they're just going to agree, or they've agreed to cover this claim. So what we will do is we'll take a copy of their initial estimate and the initial check, and we'll call that the down payment or the initial payment on the repairs.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get the vehicle in. We'll take everything apart and find any other damage, if there's any other hidden damage, get all that information to the insurance company to approve, along with photos and any other documentation. Then we let the customer know that we will work with the insurance company directly to get the difference of what will be owed to complete the repairs.
Right. Now, is there a way, because not all estimators are skilled in sales or public relations, and yet estimators need to be skilled in sales and public relations. Is there a good way to broach that with the customer as far as whether or not they have the check?
Absolutely. Sometimes just in asking questions, they tell you, one of the questions we like to ask is, has your insurance company or an insurance company seen the vehicle yet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then if they say yes, say, great, where did they look at it and what happened, and let them know that we can contact them to figure out where they're at. The insurance company's probably got, if they've came and looked at it, they've probably got an initial estimate, or at least an initial idea of the damage. And by letting the customer know that we want to talk to the insurance company to basically coordinate with them,
mm-hmm.
Usually it comes out. We can even ask if necessary. You can say something like, usually when they come out and take a look at their estimate, and many times they even leave a check with you. Did you get a copy of a check or an estimate? Mm-hmm. So, if they don't offer the information by gently asking leading questions, and we'll ask them right out, did you receive it? Right. And some of the insurance companies will tell the customers actually to hold on to the check until the repairs are completed, mm-hmm. and verify that they feel like a good job was done. Mm-hmm. And we'll explain to the customer that might be a suggestion from the insurance company, but we actually have a substantial parts bill and have to pay our technicians to do the repairs. So our policy is to collect that check in advance and then bill the insurance company for any difference. Mm-hmm. And, based on the shop and the shop policy and how they want to handle things, you can be somewhat flexible on that. If a customer's really adamant that they do want to hold on to the money until the job's all done, mm-hmm. that's the shop's decision. If you feel comfortable with them guaranteeing that, that's fine. But our standard policy is to get it, because
absolutely,
if we have it than if they have it.
Well, plus it really locks the job in at that point.
Yes, absolutely. And it's when they understand, and you actually show them the facts, that, there's $3,500 in parts on this job, and, it's a substantial amount that we're going to have to pay out before the job is done. So it's our standard practice and policy, and, go over if we need to reaffirm or make them comfortable with our guarantees and other things, and we can sell them some more on that. But
sure,
we find it's best to handle that ahead of time. The other thing that's come up that's been a surprise when we haven't done that, we even had it come up where we don't, they hold on to this check and we don't even see it, and then they come to pick up their car and it's in 2 or 3 parties that may have their lien holder or credit union listed as a payer, and there's more admin to do. There's more work to do to actually get that money authorized. So
yeah, it's better to get it up front.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now let me ask you another question. When you're doing the visual damage report or original estimate, and you're walking the car with the customer, how awkward is it to point out or ask about potential non-collision damage that might be on the car?
It does have to be handled smoothly because, very honest customers, this is the first time they've even looked at their car.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Once it's been an accident. So, they will assume or feel, they're shook up and they feel like, hey, my car was perfect before this. Mm-hmm. We see cars all the time and something won't be logical to us, or it won't look like it's related to the accident. And we definitely don't want to make the customer wrong or tell them, no, that's not related.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely have to be diplomatic in how you handle customers on other damage. Like, we'll ask, hey, I see this damage here. It doesn't look like it would be related. Do you have any idea how that happened?
Mm-hmm.
And if they're adamant about that, hey, no, that wasn't there, anything's possible.
Mm-hmm.
So we would let them know, okay, well, if you're sure it wasn't there before, we'll take it up with the insurance company and look at how maybe that could have been caused and let them make the final decision.
Mm-hmm.
Because, most customers are good and honest. There's a few here and there that try to get something paid for that's
Right.
not related, but most of the time it's an honest mistake, and there are things on their car that they haven't looked at.
Good. Well, let me ask you.
The car too.
Let me ask you this question then, because obviously we've got to point out all damage that's on the car, because as you said, so many consumers are not even aware of their car until they've been in an accident. And we
Right.
cannot not make them aware of the fact that their rear bumper is scratched and they took a front end hit, because the last thing we need is when they come to pick up the car, they then notice the rear bumper is scratched and go, you must have scratched my bumper, right?
Absolutely. That's a very good point.
That's that phantom comeback. But also, it is an opportunity, and I guess you really have to play it by ear and know how to read customers, know how to sell, as far as whether or not you can push on this customer to ask them, would you like us to work up a separate estimate for the non-collision repairs that the car needs?
Yeah, very good point. Because sometimes the customers know all about it,
Mm-hmm.
and already have gotten an estimate and have an idea on the cost, and they have no interest. But some people, especially our customers at our shop, many of them seem to care about their car, and that's one of the reasons they came to us.
Right.
So they're more inclined to want to do other repairs. And the way we normally handle that is we'll ask them about it. Hey, have you ever got an estimate to handle this repair? You have any idea what it would take to fix that? And if they have no idea, we'll ask them if they'd like us to prepare an estimate, or we might even touch on what the cost could be, or give them a range.
Mm-hmm. Test the water.
To find out. Yeah, to kind of test the water and find out. And we don't want to spend a bunch of time writing an estimate if they have no interest at all.
Right.
But if it's something that they are willing to repair, either way, it helps us to avoid a problem in the future. Either it's a potential upsell, or it's been addressed before they drop the car off, and they know it's there. They know it. We didn't do it.
Right. I think this is also, once again, sales ability and sales training for an estimator is so crucial, where they've learned how to qualify a customer during the walk around, as far as knowing how to ask what is the goal for the car, get an idea of how they maintain the car, how much they like the car. Because some people, you get down here in Southern California where it's almost more important that the car looks good than runs good. It's critical to know where the customer's head is at as far as how they like to maintain their car. Because if the guy is very meticulous about his car, there's a good chance he will want to take care of anything else that's on the car while it's in there.
Absolutely, and somebody like that, you don't want to offer them, you probably don't want to offer them a patch type job or just a minor touch-up that's not going to be perfect. If they're very, meticulous about keeping their car, you're probably going to want to let them know, hey, to fix this properly and maintain the image of your car, it's going to be about this much, and we'd love to do the work, and it'd be a great time to do it because we're already going to have the car in the shop, can give you a good price on doing it because we're already mixing paint and we're already working on the car.
That's right.
So it's a benefit to them. They see the opportunity, and if they're willing, then it absolutely is a good way to upsell work.
Yeah, because that can make a big difference to the bottom line of a shop, remembering to do that and having the skill to do that, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, well, great. So we now have got the customer's signature. We've got their agreement. We've taken all the pictures we needed during the walk-around with the customer. What's the next step? Do we go to work right away on the car, or do we wait for the insurance company?
You know, that depends on the insurance company and the shop. You know, basically the customer has to authorize repairs, and the insurance company will tell you this too. You know, they need to be given the opportunity to see the damage and, you know, verify coverage, and they need to do that in a timely manner. But the fact is, you know, we're talking about taking pictures, and that's a good point. That's another efficiency point in covering these things ahead of time. If we take good pictures, one of the pictures that we take is we actually start the car and take a picture of the dash with the engine running. So it shows the fuel in the car. It shows if there's any check engine lights or any airbag lights on prior to starting repairs. Because otherwise, later, if we find out a light is on or came on and we don't know whether it was on before or something happened while it was here, you know, that's a good point.
Well, yeah, because then that would require another supplement and a potential of no payment on it.
Absolutely, and another delay in repairs. So,
because what kind of cycle time on a drivable car? What kind of cycle time do you shoot for, Kareem?
You know, it really depends on the size of the repair, but usually,
let's say a $2,500, you know, average estimate of about $2,500 drivable car.
Right. We shoot a repair like that would probably be about 3 to 4 days, but we shoot for number of build hours per day. So if there was 12 build hours on the job, 12 billable hours on the job, be a 3 or 4 day repair. That's what the insurance companies want to see, and we like to do as fast as possible. Certainly a customer wants their car back, and many of them think it should happen in a day or two.
Right.
So faster the better, but yeah.
So with that in mind, how do you start the process? Because you know the old law of sales in a collision shop or a general repair shop is take your time with the sale, but then put the pressure on the production area and make it happen. So here we have the customer's agreement. We've taken the pictures. We are contacting, and this is a good point. Now, it's a bit of an aside, and it would probably require a whole separate podcast on this one, is bringing estimators up to speed on the different insurance companies' procedures that you deal with, right? So we're going to assume that the estimator that we're dealing with here is familiar with the procedures of the insurance company, whether it's GMAC or State Farm or whoever it is that this customer is carried by. So we've got the customers okay, we've taken the pictures, we know the procedures. How do we get this thing going fast?
So we just verify that there is coverage, and then we want to start with our initial estimate, give the work order to the technician who's going to be disassembling and inspecting it, and basically they're going to blueprint the job, meaning they're going to go line by line based on what we've written on the estimate, and they're going to get the estimator who's handling the job or the production manager to go over that with them. So they're going to take it apart piece by piece based on what the initial damage report lists out, and then they're going to write up everything they find that is different than or in addition to that. Anything. So, for example, if it says they want that we're going to repair the left fender, the technician takes a look at that, the amount of time that was allotted, and determines whether he feels that's enough time, whether the fender can be repaired or whether it should be replaced, and he would actually write that out. When he's completed, he would get that looked at with the estimator or the production manager, and they would go over it together, actually bring the painter, our refinish technician, over. He also gets that list and adds his 2 cents to it, like what he will need for the ideal scene, for exactly how the car should be repaired.
Right. Now, what tools?
Get all those things.
Let me ask you this: what tools are you using in your shop to have the most comprehensive report for the insurance company? That tear down and inspect that supplement or that estimate, right, which is really the repair order at this point, what tools are you using to ensure that it's as comprehensive and as complete as possible so nothing's forgotten?
Well, there are several people that are looking at that report and then adding to it. So they're doing a quality control on the car and the report at that point. Mm-hmm. So we use a workflow system in the shop. So the paperwork goes along with the car.
Right. So you're documenting. You're making sure you document every step and every action, right?
Absolutely.
Are you using the DEG website to help you with completing that report, that repair order, P pages? How do they know everything, or is it all in their head?
Oh yeah, no, definitely not. So we have a shop foreman who is the most experienced in the shop, and he's certainly a good sounding board for questionable repairs. Or there's definitely the P pages within the estimating system. The manufacturers have repair information. We communicate fairly often to our vendors, the manufacturer dealerships, to get recommended repair information when necessary. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we use all those resources to plan the repair the best possible.
Do you find the DEG website useful at all? Is it? I know it's a place where body men, technicians have been able to comment on different procedures and labor times and whatnot.
Right. I haven't used it a lot. My understanding of the DEG, it's basically called the Database Enhancement Gateway, and it's designed as a tool itself to report or improve the databases. So, for example, if CCC or Mitchell lists a time to replace a panel that's just not reasonable or not enough, or doesn't include necessary items, as the guy actually on the floor who's doing the repairs can make a note, like, hey, 8 hours isn't enough to replace this rear body panel because I have to do this, this, and this. So the database, the DEG website, gives us a resource to put information in, and they will actually take that and send it to CCC and Mitchell to try to give them correct errors that they have in the estimating software. Because the software, you know, it's just software. It suggests recommended times, but it's certainly not a Bible. It doesn't always know what it takes to do a repair.
No, it's like any parts and labor guide. It's a guide. You can't possibly take in every contingency of every operating condition and every aspect of the way people drive and where they live.
Yeah, and it doesn't. Yeah, and it doesn't take into account the fact that this car has been on the road for 10 years and it's got some rust, and now it's been in an accident. So, you know, it's going to take a bit longer to take that bumper off when the bumper is crushed around the bolts that mount it. The guide accounts for new parts on an undamaged vehicle. So if it takes an hour to take a bumper off a new car that's never been on the road or damaged, it wouldn't be out of line to add an additional half an hour labor for access or pre-pulling on the bumper to gain access to cut the bolts off.
Now, to ensure that this is the most comprehensive, when you're doing your tear down and inspect, and you're documenting, like you said, your lead tech, your painter, your foreman, they're working together and blueprinting this job. How important is it to photograph oddities like that and include that in that report to the insurance company to ensure you've got agreement to go ahead and do that and get paid?
That's absolutely critical, because whether it's needed or not, whether you can prove it was necessary or not, without photos, there's no, you know, supporting documentation. That's really the main thing that an insurance company needs to approve anything is proof of it. And if you've got photo documentation of what you did, you can go ahead and do it in most cases, as long as you know that it's related to the accident, it's not questionable. I mean, if it's obviously accident damage, you can take photos of it and repair it. And you've got proof that it was done. You've got photos before, during, and after. That's really critical to have to keep in your file to support what needed to be done. That way you can keep working on the car and get the vehicle done for the customer and the insurance company in a timely manner, keep them happy with the repair speed, and then if there's any question about what had to be done or didn't have to be done, you'll have good support to put in your folder and they can put in their file to support why they paid the money out to do it.
So the tip here is document everything in writing and with photographs.
Absolutely. And
what about that
oddball?
What about the oddball situation? Because this doesn't happen all the time. I know it does happen, where the car was in a previous wreck and something was not completely repaired correctly from that wreck.
Oh, it happens more often than you would think. We fix a lot of new cars, so people are a bit unfamiliar in their cars when they first get them. So it happens that we fix new cars, and then a few years down the road, they may get in an accident again. Cars even get damaged en route, and the docks where they bring them in, they have guys set up to do repairs and painting on brand new cars to repair transportation damage. So it's not uncommon to find something that's been worked on before, and it's our responsibility as the last guy who worked on it, if we notice something, to handle it. And we don't. Again, you got to be smooth about how you deal with the customer. You don't want to alarm them. You don't want to make them feel bad, but you do have to address if there's something that was done on their car that could potentially affect your warranty or your repairs. You definitely need to document it at the least, and ideally bring it up with the customer to let them know what you found, whether it's a safety issue or just a cosmetic issue, and then give them a price to repair it.
Right. Because if it was a previous accident and it was a substandard repair, the insurance company isn't necessarily going to cover that, are they?
Not necessarily, but as the shop doing the current repairs, there is a chance that if it was done at a shop, that it's guaranteed, and you could actually get paid to fix it.
Right, because the last thing you need is a car to leave your shop that is substandard, maybe has a safety issue, had nothing to do with the repairs you just did, but it had something previously not handled correctly. That's got to be documented. Yes,
absolutely, and that's important that your technicians know that it's not their job to determine what's accident-related or not accident-related. They can help with their opinion on it, but we don't want them making decisions on how a car gets fixed because they have an assumption. We definitely need to get the customer involved because it is their car. So, it is policy in our shop that everything gets written up and turned into the estimator in his supplement box so it can be addressed properly and not just overlooked, because customers may or may not understand their car and any repairs that were done. They may not know anything about it. They may have bought the car used and figured that it was in perfect shape. And, we had one where we did a minor bumper repair. It was scheduled to be in and out in 2 days, and we pulled the bumper cover off, and it was the back of a Honda that had thousands and thousands of dollars of damage that was never repaired properly. So, you never know. You never know, and worse comes to worse, if you get called into small claims court or whatever, you've got to be documented. Yes, yeah, absolutely. And then you can help the customer. You can educate them, let them know, because many times if they find out something like that they didn't know about, they're just upset about it. But you can actually help them to get it rectified, or in this case, the case that we had, they actually went back to the dealer. It was a certified car. They went back to the dealer who sold it to them and said, hey, well, we had this minor damage, and come to find out this car had major repairs done, and it's not safe. So we really helped that customer to sure, with your documentation, handle that situation. Yeah, and it keeps the industry more honest, too. I mean, people shouldn't be selling repairs that are unsafe.
Oh, that's right, and we shouldn't be doing repairs substandardly. And
Yeah.
we're all in this for the same goal, I hope, and that is to have safe and reliable cars on the road, because holy cow, our families are on these roads too. So yeah, making sure that process, because that speeds up the entire repair. If you take the time to do this part right, everything else moves faster, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And when there are things that we're not going to know until we actually get into the repairs. For example, if we know there was some suspension damage on a vehicle, we've decided, when possible, to get the alignments and suspension work done at the beginning of the repair instead of at the end, where most shops do, where you get another surprise. So if there's an alignment question, we'll send the car for an alignment before we even begin body repairs. So we know whether it can be aligned or not. If there's damaged parts, we go ahead and fix those first. That way, when we're done, we're done. And it's the worst thing is when you're telling a customer that you plan to be done on Friday. There's only a few last steps. It's got to get an alignment check, but we don't suspect any damage. And then it goes and gets an alignment check, and they say, oh, it won't an alignment because it has a bent strut or it has a bent knuckle, and then they're not getting the car back for the weekend. We look bad, and we have another supplement. And
right.
as many of those things that we can take up in the beginning and avoid, the better, the more efficiently the car runs through the shop.
Fantastic. Hey, Kareem, I want to thank you for your time today. I think this is a good point to end off. And so, just a recap, document everything, both written and in photo form. Keep the customer apprised. Learn how to handle customers well, and it makes it a much more efficient process, because efficiency is everything to the bottom line in a collision shop, as we stated yesterday.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Hey, so thanks a lot, Kareem. I wish you a happy 4th. Have a good time up there, and maybe it'll cool off a little bit. It's starting to cool off here a little bit. So,
oh, good. Yeah, I hope so. It's hot.
Yeah, it's been brutal. All right, man. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Talk to you soon.
No problem. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.